Kiaru wakes up from a dream and confides in his guardian Anna about his desire to defeat the demon lord. He possesses the ability to see spirits, which leads him to an angel in the forest who blesses him with a magical eye, granting him the power to see everything in the universe. With this power, he experiences a flashback to an epic battle between a team of heroes and a demon goddess. The leader of the warriors, Flare Jorel, uses Thor's hammer to combat some of the shadow monsters, but her team is no match for the overpowered demon lord. Kiaru is present as a healer for the heroes, but is treated poorly. In a turn of events, Kiaru dodges the demon shadows and uses his healing powers to resist a giant monster, eventually making it to the demon goddess and defeating her. He senses a conspiracy involving the Philosopher's Stone and decides to use her magical gem to heal a world. However, upon realizing everything, Kiaru decides to exact his revenge on Flare and other heroes. The following day, Flare arrives at the village with the intention of recruiting a new hero and ultimately chooses Kiaru. He is then brought to the Imperial Castle and granted the title of Hero of Recovery by the king himself, a distinction that made him quite popular with the maid. During his time at the castle, Kiaru encountered Kureha, a skilled swordsman who had lost her arm and was in need of assistance. Kiaru was able to utilize his healing ability to successfully restore Kureha's arm, but the experience proved to be quite unpleasant for him due to the influx of painful memories and sensations that he received during the process. Despite this, Kiaru feigned fainting in order to conceal the true extent of his discomfort from Kureha. As events unfold, Flare's true nature was ultimately revealed to Kiaru. However, this revelation only served to reaffirm his belief that Flare was the same person he had known in his previous life. After recovering, Kiaru throws a tantrum and swears never to use his healing power again. Flare attempts to show kindness towards him, however, he remains vigilant and sees past her facade, maintaining his own pretense. Subsequently, he is administered potions and transported to a dungeon where he is captive and brutally beaten by Renard. During his imprisonment, he is subjected to torture and forced to develop a dependence on substances as he struggled to cope with his dire circumstances. In order to deceive those around him, Kiaru develops a daily routine that allows him to maintain his pretense. Flare continues to pressure Kiaru to utilize his healing abilities to treat wounded heroes, but he covertly steals their magical abilities in order to prepare for his revenge. One evening, when King Prom departed the area with his guards, Kiaru seized the opportunity to put his plan into motion. He utilized the magical abilities he had stolen from an alchemist to escape from his prison cell. Unfortunately, he is apprehended by a soldier named Renard and subsequently brought before Flare. The evil princess summons Renard to her private quarters, but he kills both of her guards. Surprisingly, it is revealed that he is actually Kiaru in disguise. He explains how he switched faces with Renard and then humiliates Flare by breaking her fingers. Eventually, Kiaru gets his extreme revenge by violating and humiliating her. Eventually, he decides to erase Flare's memories and changes her face. Kiaru kidnaps Flare after burning down the hall. The following day, Kiaru decides to look for the demon lord to learn more about her and to take his revenge on the heroes. With Flare now in amnesia, Kiaru renames her Freya, convinces her she is his servant and lover, and takes the hero named Kiarga for himself, leaving his weak name Kiaru behind. Kiarga ultimately decided to leave the city with Freya, but he soon learned that Norn, Flare's younger and more astute sister, was due to return. Kiarga became anxious and resolved to avoid her at all costs. One night, Kiarga was plagued by a horrific nightmare that dredged up traumatic memories from his past life. Suddenly, he wakes up from the nightmare with Freya by his side. Kiarga and Freya eventually arrived at Lanarida, a notorious city known for its lack of law and order. Despite the challenging circumstances, the pair managed to share a meal together. However, Kiarga's magical eyes alerted him to the presence of poison in their drinking water. He used his healing powers to create an antidote and then came across a sick merchant. Kiarga offered the potion to merchant, which cured him of his illness. Recognizing Kiarga's skills, a merchant struck a deal with him, likely to take advantage of his unique abilities. Afterwards, Kiarga and Freya decide to visit a market to acquire a fighter. Initially, Kiarga is unimpressed by the selection of fighters on offer, but the trader takes him to another area where he discovers Setsuna, a demi-human from the Ice Wolf clan. Kiarga is moved by Setsuna's desire for revenge and empathizes with the pain she had endured. As a result, he made the decision to purchase her, recognizing her potential as a powerful ally. As Kiarga heals Setsuna and delves into her memories, he discovers that her village was attacked and destroyed by evil soldiers of the kingdom as part of a larger conspiracy to maintain the trade. Later, Kiarga and Freya sell some of their magical healing potions to a merchant named Ledger Goldman. On their way back home, Kiarga and Freya discuss shifting their focus to magical weapons. Upon arriving home, Kiarga kisses Setsuna while administering a healing potion. but she responds by attacking him upon awakening and discovering the unwanted kiss. Kiarga sends Freya to fetch some food while he deals with Setsuna. Despite her resistance, Kiarga is able to subdue her with little effort and offers to share his powers with her on the condition that she agrees to become his servant. Setsuna agrees to the deal, determined to use her new powers to save her village. At night, the group makes their way to the village where they see ice wolves under attack by the mercenaries. Setsuna is about to go on rampage, but Kiarga stops her, telling that he'll thin out the crowd for her so she can have her revenge. Kiarga unleashes his epic sword powers to defeat the evil soldiers, and then Freya uses her level 5 flame star to take down the troops. Setsuna and her people savagely kill the survivors, after which Kiarga thinks about how polite and nice Flare has become. Setsuna gazes upon the red moon to celebrate her victory. After the battle, Kiarga and Setsuna find the source of the poisoned water. Upon Setsuna's request, Kiarga turns the river into medicine. Later, Kiarga believes there are still many more things left to do for his revenge. Meanwhile, the king rebukes Renard for his failures and orders him to kill Kiarga. At Jurel Kingdom, Kira Aclara becomes upset after hearing about a hero using her family's sword technique to kill soldiers. Kiarga, Setsuna, and Freya move on to Lanarida, where they encounter a merchant who tries to steal Kiarga's potion recipe. Kiarga deceives the merchant by withholding a key ingredient from him. Later, Kira ambushes Kiarga, accusing him of attacking the Ice Wolf Clan village. Freya and Setsuna try to defend Kiarga, but Kureha believes they are brainwashed. Kiarga engages in a fierce duel with Kureha. He simply toys with her as he breaks her sword and taunts her desires. Despite this, Kureha manages to land a blow on Kiarga, but it turns out to be a part of his plan. Ultimately, he ends up showing her the kingdom's mistreatment of demi-humans while using his power to heal her. Kureha wakes up in an inn and denies that the Jurel Kingdom would commit such crimes. Kiarga reveals himself as the healing hero, and Freya explains that they faked Flare's death to expose the kingdom's dark side. Kureha realizes she had been fighting for the wrong side and decides to reconsider her concept of justice. She reaffirms her promise to help Kiarga. Meanwhile, Renard and his forces head towards Alban village seeking revenge. Kiarga and his companions are notified by Kureha of the presence of Jurel knights who have rounded up villagers from his village. Kiarga disguises himself as a soldier from the Ice Wolf village and meets with a knight to gather information. The knight reveals that Renard, the captain of the knights, have publicly violated Anna in front of the other villagers. When Renard and his squad meet up with Kiarga, Renard rushes to attack, but Kiarga paralyzes them with gas and transforms Renard into a woman. Kiarga then orders Renard to suffer the same way Anna did, and his brainwashed men begin to ravage him. Kiarga sets the building on fire to ensure Renard's demise. Later, he returns to his village to help Anna, but unfortunately, she dies despite his repeated attempts to heal her. Kiarga decides that this will be the last time he sheds tears. At Jurel Castle, Norn is unhappy to learn that Renard has disappeared and considers enlisting Blade's help to execute the villagers. Meanwhile, Kiarga discovers that the villagers are being held in the Colosseum and decides to rescue them despite the difficult odds. Kira questions his resolve, but Kiarga is determined to prevent further harm to the people of the Jurel Kingdom. Norn returns from her studies, triggering Kiarga and Freya's anger. Kiarga regards her as a potential threat, but decides to hold off on taking action against her. Disguised as a spectator, Kiarga infiltrates the Colosseum and prepares to save the villagers. Before the execution can begin, Kiarga reveals himself and draws everyone's attention. Kiarga is given a hostile welcome, but he makes fun of his enemies and is attacked by the soldiers. He takes down the first wave of opponents with ease, and then he tells everyone in the audience his true story as a victim. Kiarga embarks on a killing spree, slaughtering the executioners who retaliate by attacking the nearby village. Despite their attempt to weaken Kiarga with a magical barrier, his companion Freya reverses the effect with her magic. Kiarga later learns that the village had already been poisoned, and he only manages to save one boy. As the story unfolds, Freya reveals herself as Flare and exposes King's corruption and wrongdoings within Jurel, causing the crowd to turn against the executioners and kill him. However, the boy holds Kiarga responsible for the destruction, and Kiarga instructs a merchant to look after him, even if it means he will hate his savior all his life. The group then decides to visit the city of Branica. While on his way to Branica, Kureha leaves and warns Kiarga of Norn with her army on their way to attack. Kiarga decides to meet with the demon lord and sets up camp on the journey. Kiarga and the group embark on a journey to find divine weapons that can withstand the great power of Freya, as her magic staves keep breaking due to the immense power she possesses. They arrive in Branica, a place where humans and other races coexist peacefully. While having a meal at a restaurant, they encounter Eve Reese, the demon goddess Kiarga had previously defeated. However, to their surprise, Eve appeared weaker than before and has black hair instead of silver. Kiarga attempts to recruit Eve to their cause, hoping to establish harmony between humans and demons once she becomes the Demon Lord. Kiarga also mentioned the fabled disease-spreading bird, Caladrius, which can only be summoned after passing several trials and crossing the entire planet. Eve revealed herself to be a member of the Black-Winged tribe, who was ordered to be eradicated by the current Demon Lord. During their journey, bounty hunters attack Eve and she is hit by a poisoned arrow. Fortunately, Kiarga's party rescues her and nurses her back to health. While they are hiding out, Kiarga reveals to Eve that he has met her in the future and that she will become the Demon Lord. He offers to protect her until she claims her destiny, but Eve initially finds it hard to believe. Nevertheless, she agrees to stay with the group for the time being. Although Kiarga offers to protect Eve until she becomes the Demon Lord, she initially declines. However, after being scolded by Kiarga, Freya, and Setsuna, she agrees to stay with the group. While Kiarga is scouting the city in disguise, a bounty hunter recognizes him and attempts to capture him. Kiarga is forced to kill him in self-defense. Kiarga and Setsuna track down the bounty hunters and exact revenge for destroying the restaurant by leaving the survivors in a pit to be devoured by a beast. Kiarga then helps Freya to upgrade the magic staff she bought, impressing the owner so much that he gives him some money back and a mithril sword as a reward. After Kiarga finishes improving all the other staves in the shop, the owner is amazed at his skills and asks him to come back anytime he needs a job. However, their peace is interrupted when Norn with her army and Blade arrive in Branica. After discovering the situation, Kiarga becomes extremely angry and feels uncertain about his next course of action. Kiarga retreats after spotting Norn and Blade accompanied by the hero Hawkeye. However, that night, Blade kidnaps a girl for her own amusement. The store owner warns Kiarga about the girl's fate, prompting him to sell some potions. Kiarga devises a strategy to use his appearance to his advantage. He transforms into a woman Kiara, intending to draw Blade's attention. Blade offers Kiara a drink and transfers a sleeping potion via kiss, and Kiara pretends to pass out. As Blade carries her to her hotel, the father of a girl who Blade had previously plundered attacks her. Kiara knocks out the man in an effort to save him, but is forced to defend herself against Blade, but her sword, Ragnarok, enhances her strength and allows her to heal quickly from injuries. Coldly knocked out Kiara wakens with her hands tied around Blade's bed while she is getting ready to violate Kiara, but is shocked to core upon finding Kiara to be a man. Kiarga escapes her restraints and uses a poison blade to attack Blade. Blade reaches out to Ragnarok to heal herself, but she is wounded once more and loses consciousness. Kiarga reads Blade's memories and learns Norn plans to attack Branica in 3 days. After paralyzing Blade's legs, he has 3 brainwashed men plunder her. The men then kill and eat her, causing Ragnarok to revert to a gem. After reverting to his true form, Kiarga meets Trist Organ, also known as Hawkeye. Hawkeye is impressed by the potions he sold to Carmen and invites him to join his army, but he declines. Kiarga, recognizing that Hawkeye is too strong for him, uses the gem to create a new weapon, the Georgius, which is a clawed gauntlet that can heal the user's injuries. By the 3rd day, Norn had lost interest in searching for Blade and deemed her to be of little value. She then commanded her soldiers to execute everyone, accusing the inhabitants of Branica of being brainwashed by the devils. When the merchant named Carmen is killed, Kiarga becomes furious and begins to retaliate by killing Norn's troops. Both Norn and Hawkeye are surprised when Freya, pretending to be Flare, displays a large holographic image of herself in the sky. Upon hearing Freya's statement that demons are not the enemy, the soldiers comply with her request to stand down. Kiarga then confronts Hawkeye in combat and defeats him, before proceeding to knock out Norn and imprison her in a subterranean bunker. During their captivity, both Kiarga and Norn express surprise. He reads her memories and discovers that she is responsible for the attack on his village by Renard. When she awakens, he gives Flare chemicals to make her act like a dog. He then makes a promise to release her if she can endure Flare's licking till morning. Eventually, she fails the challenge. After erasing Norn's memory and altering her looks, he transforms her into Ellen and introduces her as his younger sister who is in love with him and restores Freya to her original state. When Kure gets there, Kiarga introduces Ellen. Kiarga decides that his group will continue their journey until they can assist Eve in taming Caladrius. However, he takes a moment to pay respects to Carmen's grave by placing flowers and declares that he has avenged him and Anna after the alleged killings of Flare and Norn. King assigns Bullet to stop Kiarga, but Bullet is eager to dominate him again. Despite growing to care for his group, Kiarga believes that he will not be at peace until he takes revenge on Bullet. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel and stay tuned for more quality uploads.